Today on the Modern Musicking Show, I get a voice lesson, which is fascinating. We hear about Elvis Presley. We're going to hear from the Contemporary Ensemble, and we have a deep dive, a very cool deep dive with a guy named Eric Ittrey, who does brain research and plays a flaming sousaphone. Hope you enjoy it. Today on Jacob Random Holmes, featuring Jacob Randall Holmes. Jacob, would you play me a song called A Day in the Life of the Happy Dachshund Puppy Maple? So hey, this is a deep dive, and I'm getting to meet with one of the coolest people that I know that works at Carnegie Mellon. This is Eric Ittrey, and he's cool for a whole bunch of reasons. These are brains, not mine. This is actual size compared to mine. His is significantly larger. Eric, what do you do here? And you're going to figure out all of the ways that he's interesting to us in a moment. But first, what is your official role / title / I'm important because at CMU?
I'm an assistant professor, and I study neuroscience, and we try and figure out how we transform thought into action. And we do that by teaching mice how to play video games.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So this is a mouse brain?
It is.
And this is a
sheep brain that I have nothing to do with other than a class was using it for learning anatomy.
Gotcha. There you go. And this is
a glass brain that my wonderful wife made for me because she thinks I'm special.
Well, that's awfully nice. So you teach the mice to use that thing to play what kind of a video game?
It's a really boring video game, but it's a PlayStation 3 controller that we put a coat hanger in the end of, and they can move around and get rewards, get sugar water for moving the joystick wherever we tell them to.
I see. So you direct them to do a thing, and if they do it, then they get the sugar water.
Yep.
And how long does it take them to, why video games?
Because it's a way of getting them to do something, and we can actually quantify it really well. So if we just have an animal walking around, which we do that too, there's all different sorts of ways that you can walk, but when you move a joystick, we get exactly when you move, how fast, and how far you move, and then we can understand how the neurons contributed to exactly it is how you move. So we use that to understand the brain, but also to try and develop therapies for Parkinson's disease and stroke.
I see. And so what have been the big takeaways or what have you figured out so far?
That the brain sort of compartmentalizes information in different ways. The coolest thing is that the brain is capable of learning more than we would think, which is good news, bad news in that it's much harder to understand. Good news that I'll have a job for a lot longer because of it.
And so do you teach classes or you do research or both or what?
I do both.
Okay.
So I teach a systems neuroscience class to undergrads in the spring as well as a graduate school course. But a lot of my focus is to do the research and to train undergrads, graduates, and postdocs in the lab on how to do neuroscience. So we have about 6 undergrads in the lab, 4 graduate students, and 1 postdoc.
And what do they hope to go do? Someone comes to study here in this, then they hope that eventually they do what?
It could be medical school, it could be to do more research in an academic setting like this, to work in industry. We have one student who's looking to go off and develop devices to help treat Parkinson's disease. So something to do with the brain, but ranging from basic research of understanding it to being a clinician.
I don't know anything. So here's a question. My impression is that we're learning at an exponential rate. We're learning about the brain and how it works at an exponential rate. Would you say that's fair?
That's fair.
And what kinds of breakthroughs do you anticipate in the next, say, 5 or 10 years?
I think the biggest thing, and something that we're actively working on, is we're beginning to have a good idea how that brain area and that brain area and that brain area, what they contribute to how we see, how we think, how we do things. But the brain is not these individual areas. And we've actually developed an electrode array, and some other people are working on electrode arrays and analyses that now we can look at the whole brain or much more of the brain. And instead of saying, how does A do this, how does B do that, how do they all work together? And that's a much more complicated problem, needs a lot more analyses, a lot more just data storage. If you think about your thumb drive, we generate somewhere between 2 and 4 gigabytes of data a minute. And so processing that, making sense of all of that, let alone just getting it, is really where it's at. And I think we'll actually get a sense of how the brain as a unit does things. That sort of, not to make a musical joke, but the orchestration of it all is really where the future is, and where we're, I think, right in the middle of it.
That's fantastic. So it's so interesting. And well, let's talk about the other side, which is the way I learned of you is you hit me up. We have a thing here called the Tartan Tuba Band, and we did this concert where we covered Sgt. Pepper at this outdoor festival called Carnival. And so he hit me up because he also happens to be a tuba player, but not just a tuba player. Anybody can do that. His sousaphone, can erupt in flame and not cause harm to himself or others. So you play a flaming sousaphone.
I do.
And you're one of a small handful of devoted flame projecting? How would you describe it? Flame emanating?
Flame poofing.
Flame poofing instruments. I just recently saw a flame poofing ukulele online. And there's, of course, the flaming bagpipe.
I'd like to meet him someday.
Have you seen that guy? He wears a Darth Vader outfit, and he's on a unicycle. But you're one of the 2 preeminent flaming poof sousaphone-ers. And how is it that you came to be that?
So to me,
This is so
and
good.
you can back me up, every brass player it looks like a cannon.
Yeah.
It dreams of having explosions come out of that.
Yep.
And I have been part of the Burning Man community for quite some time, and I know some people who make fires explode out of all sorts of things. And so we got to talking, and actually I had the idea. Turns out I was the second person to have an idea. David Silverman of The Simpsons is, as far as I know, the original, but good minds think alike, maybe. And talked to a good friend of mine named Laura, as well as my wife, who made this, and they actually were the ones who made it, and I sat around and watched, and then but put my neck on the line to actually put it on.
Literally.
Yeah. And then it worked. It's worked fantastically well. I've played all around the country, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's been through a couple of iterations to make it bigger and better, but it's at its biggest flame, shoots about a 20-foot long flame. We can turn it down. I've actually played inside at a church. For Panic, it scared,
Yeah.
pardon the pun, scared the hell out of me. But they invited me to play Spirit in the Sky, which has that iconic bass line
I see.
for Pentecost. So it kind of comes full circle, Tongues of Flame,
See.
Spirit in the Sky, tuba.
It's almost too easy.
Yeah. And so I had to say yes, and I did that twice. And so yeah, it's been a ton of fun, and it's heavy. Tuba start off heavy, and then you add yeah.
Propane.
Yep.
Propane is the
Yep. So it's basically just a gas grill on steroids. It's not a flamethrower. A flamethrower is a weapon, and it shoots out liquid gas.
Right.
Bad news if it gets on you. Not great news if this gets on you, but it dissipates quite quickly. And propane doesn't burn that hot. But through some miracles of physics, which I've actually had the fun of explaining how a flame poofer works. And if you're familiar with Boyle's law back from high school physics and things like that, it's all about evaporation and pressure and these things. And that's what enables me to shoot a 20-foot flame out the bellow of the tuba. And there's nothing, the nice thing is, everyone's like, do you have to push your,
Right.
Actually Silverman and I were just talking about this, that people think that he has to train his breath to breathe out propane, which would end very poorly for all involved.
Like you're a fire breather
Yeah.
that happens to go through the,
It's just a visual effect. So it's a fire poofer that happens to be mounted through the bell of the tuba, rather than me being exposed to flammable gas.
Just smart.
Yeah.
It's another proof that you're smart. So, magic question. So you have these two spectacular parts of your brain, for lack of a better way to describe it. In what ways did your musical training inform your research and vice versa? How is the research impacting your music making, or are they kind of autonomous?
They keep each other sane and motivated.
Okay, I lied. I do have one more question. And that is, what is that?
That is a carry-on. Go ahead and. In 1999, this was a carry-on coming back from Spain.
You brought that on the plane with you in 1999.
The world is a different place.
It is.
And someone else here at Carnegie Mellon, her lab manager was a huge Game of Thrones fan, and moved on from the lab, so we had a knighting ceremony. And you want to hold it?
I do.
Yeah.
Holy moly! Yeah, that's more.
That's a
than you thought
lot
it
of
would be. It is made in Spain.
Toledo steel.
What was here?
An emblem that got knocked off, probably from, I know
Over
one of
years.
them, but
It's embedded in one of your enemies now.
a 2-liter root beer.
What do you got against root beer?
I love root beer, but it's fun to toss it up in the air and try
Oh,
and
and
hack
then
it. Yeah.
with you now. That's fantastic. All right, Eric Ittrey, this is so great. Thank you so much for your time. See you later. So this is Lance Learns to Play. Robbie Razzo is going to teach me how to do something having to do with, I don't have an instrument, therefore I'm assuming I'm doing something vocal.
Yes, we're going to be singing today. We're going to go through a few technical things for singing, and also the Italian language, how to pronounce things properly.
I'm going to learn Italian in the next 3 minutes. That's
Yes.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So,
Okay.
and we're going to be learning the song Caro Mio Ben, which is the song that every freshman is always assigned. And it's kind of a joke. All right.
On me?
Hmm?
Is it Joe?
Just the song in general, you know.
You haven't even heard it. You're
Yeah.
probably right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what? What's the first thing I need to know?
All right. So I understand you've already done a bit of breathing
I
with
did.
Gino.
Gino showed me how to breathe a little
Okay.
bit. Maybe
So
a
just-
refresher course
Yeah,
can't hurt.
that's
Yeah.
great. So when you're breathing, you're going to want to feel everything in here.
I feel everything
So, yeah.
in here. Yes.
Mhm. So when you're taking a breath, just make sure you're really relaxed. Put your hand, you should feel your ribs. You should feel your ribs expand, your stomach expand, even your back come out a little bit. Just keep all. Now this takes a very long time to practice and get down, but all muscular tension should be in here. So
Okay.
when you're singing, it should, and you shouldn't really be feeling any pressure in your throat.
I see.
It should all be from here, and it comes from these muscles being active when expelling the air.
So this is sort of the propulsion.
Yes.
This is, it all comes from here. Nothing from here,
Yes.
here, anywhere else.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
just here.
Nothing. You
Okay.
should feel nothing.
All right. I feel nothing here. But
Yeah.
here, okay. So
So let's just do a breathing exercise. Just repeat after me. You go. And then hold. You can, when you're holding your air in, just move your head around. Get the muscles in your neck relaxed. Ready to sing. And watch your chest going up sometimes. When you breathe in, sometimes when you're breathing in, when
Can
you're
I exhale?
exercising.
I
Yeah.
hope so,
Oh yeah.
'cause I just
of
did.
course.
Oh, man, I was going to pass out.
It's slightly different for when you're exercising. It increases the capacity to breathe like with your chest, but for singing, it should be all here. Yeah.
Okay.
So just relax, exhale. Okay. Put your hand on your stomach. Good. We'll do one more breathing exercise. So it's going to be
Okay. Does it matter where my mouth is when I'm doing that? I mean,
No,
I understand on the
not
out
really,
I'm
yeah.
doing this, but so just so long as it's relaxed,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah. Good. And then when the air comes out, it's all right. It's totally all right for your stomach to go in a little bit,
Okay.
and then obviously expand when more air is coming in.
Fantastic. So that's how to breathe. Thank you, Robbie. And now, another music history moment.
Hey guys, I'm going to briefly talk about Elvis Presley. He was born in 1935 in Tupelo, Missouri, and he was kind of a game changer for the music at that time, especially when he was moving his hips on the screen, and they used to have to, not show that, but then he kind of changed the game and made that a possibility for future performers, and his museum in Graceland is truly the most incredible thing, so that's why I'm really passionate about him. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No.
Is that him?
Good evening and welcome to the Modern Musicking Show.
They did, but they didn't see us. The last review was open, and I thought that was a more surreal way to enter.
Let me tell you what we will be doing. First we will have...
Do you have like a piece of paper or something?
We need piece of paper. Looking for sliver of dead tree.
I have paper, but they stuffed on one side.
Doesn't matter.
We're going to hear about the Presley of Elvisness.
Hey, thanks for watching the show. If you want to reach us with questions or comments, you can figure out all the ways to do that by clicking on any of those links and wherever you're watching this thing. We've had a great time putting these together and hope you find them useful as well. Thanks for watching.